It's not tell no lie. I dig it. It's dangling, ladies and gentlemen. My time to shine.
This is my time, my time to shine. No more delay.
Laws of Coral Springs Massive.
No line, mama,
Orlando's here.
to shine.
Seat there.
Dear my
Not sure.
time, my time to shine. No more delay now, waiting on the line. My time to shine.
You know, it's crazy times, man. Like I said, and, you know, we joke about it, but people always say, yo, can't wait for 2020 done. You still feeling the same? You know, there's a lot of things going on right now. We all have feelings about it, sentiments to be expressed, and it's all good. You know, we are human beings, and we are supposed to be allowed to do that. It's amazing how, you know, you're only supposed to express your opinion and you know, show your sentiments if it aligns with those of the critics, not you. The people in the family, the friends, the co-workers, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? If stuff's happening and your view differs from theirs, they don't want to hear that. But if you're sharing the same sentiment, then let's put a t-shirt on and let's run down the street together, right? For me, just witnessing what's been going on the last 24 hours, and I'm sure it ain't over, so we're coming right into this new day with a lot of the madness. My sentiments are not, of course, for the president, and it never is, you know, because that's somebody I can never see, I can never touch. That's a TV person, you know what I mean? You never have, I'm not going to sit down and have a convo with, you know, or not going to sit down and have a convo with me. It's not somebody I'm going to be able to face-to-face express how I feel, how we feel. So no way about it. I couldn't care less. Live, die, up, down, health, not, you know, it's just not something that's on the forefront of what I think of, and I very rarely speak on or express any sentiment toward our president. 13 days and counting. But it's for the people, the massive, the crew, the people who support anyone that does ill and stands by it. You know, I remember one time my pastor spoke of lions in suits, you know, and I will, in this case, refer to them as dragons in suits. You know what I mean? People who are masquerading as anything less than who they are, which are bad people. You know, we have people out there that do ill and they have a platform and a pulpit to promote and do ill. But sometimes that's not the person you need to be worried about. You need to be worried about your neighbor, your friend, your in-laws, your spouse. Matter of fact, I forgot draw you on that one. You know what I mean? The people who are next to you, who are masquerading, right? Because people talk about the last 4 years. I think the one thing about the last 4 years is that it's been revealing not of who our leaders are, because many of our leaders, especially the commander-in-chief, has never masqueraded, never masked, never hid who he was and what their agendas are. You know what I'm saying? They do what they do on a daily because that's just who they are. The ones that's been masking it was your neighbors, your friends, you know, your co-workers. Many people, I'm sure, I can imagine how many people sat back and when they were watching the news and be like, I can't believe a John Tom that did the capital of storm, the thing and not go on. So many. What up, Monique? How you doing? How are you? Happy New Year to you too. All right. But it's that's where we got to look at with it. You know what I mean? Look at your immediate circle. Even when it comes to the politics of it, we focus a lot on the primaries and stuff like that instead of focusing on our local elections and stuff. The things that really, really affect you, the things that are right next to you in your households, right? Enough our friend them, right? The people who we call friends, the people we associate with, the people who we break bread with. I damn you if you keep your eyes on. You know what I mean? Those are the ones you really need to be paying attention to, because, again, those are the ones that can affect you. I said this over and over and over again. I've lived in this country through Bush Sr., Clinton Bush Jr., right? Obama, Trump. Nothing they did affected my way of life and how I was going to provide for my family. Because I had to make sure that either way it was going down, and they're not going to affect my quality of life or my standard of life, regardless of who it is. If you look at politics, a lot of times the effect is the wealthy and unfortunately the poor. When you're in the middle class, a lot of times the primary decisions don't affect you. I use this analogy primarily because we again, pay attention to your local elections. The little things, we just spoke about the primary elections that went by and how important it was, but do you realize how important what just happened in Georgia was, right? Because had that not happened, the battle was going to be, and still is, but the battle was going to be way steep, way uphill for those in office, even though they are the leaders, right? I kind of see why, don't agree with it, but I see why our dictator-in-chief admires other people from other regimes so much, because they really have the capability and the ability to do whatever they want and execute whatever they want and exercise whatever they want, being that kind of authoritarian leadership that they have over there and we don't have here. I say all that to say, remember, we need local government to be in our favor, all right? So when it comes out for the elections, you need to go vote for your mayors and your city leaders and stuff like that, and your governors and your senators. Pay attention to that just as much as you pay attention to these primary elections, all right? But, emotions are running wild right now as we see things going on across the country. And I sit back and I observe, even on Facebook, I have some folks that, they post pictures with their token black friends and, share the Bob Marley videos and the Buju Bantans and the this and the that and the Sizzler. And every day them post a picture, it's them and somebody, right? Never sold a joint, them and a black man or a black woman or whatever the case may be, right? Reposting Bob Marley videos and blasting Barry's Hammond every now and then. It's oftentimes nothing more than a way for people to blend in. And I think that's the one benefit of the last 4 years is that it was a situation that allowed people to show their true colors. So when you say all them people are repost a Bob Marley thing and whatever the case may be and are come with the head wrap up and the red, green and gold and whatever the case may be and the Rent a Dread brother, what them apart with, it's, truth be told, it ain't nothing but a way to blend in. And we soak that stuff up so quickly and so easily. Only time we get mad about it is when we see things as cultural appropriation. When what we need to look at stuff as a spiritual appropriation. People come in our elements and exploit our spirits so that later on, when they need to exercise and execute an agenda, we won't look too tough at them because, no, I can't she. No, man, she have a picture up with the little black girl. No, man, she have a picture up with the black man. And now she and two rats that run at the corner that's as she married. And I fear man that. Right? So we don't look at that. So a lot of times things are just a means and a ways for people to blend in, right? The amazing thing was all the people who were so vocal against the Black Lives Matter protest that we had. A lot of them have been extremely silent. Even people who I know personally, it's like them disappear after the election, disappear because they knew what was to come, right? And a lot of times people are defending certain things and they know it's wrong. So after a while, they disappear, right? All the folks. How many people do you know on your page, in your circle, in your household, in your family, in your neighborhood? When the BLM protests were going on, oh my God, blasphemy, the atrocities. But what happened yesterday was not. Different verbiage to it. The narrative is different, right? They referred to a lot of the previous stuff as riots. Yesterday's situation, they referred to as protests. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? So a lot of people are silent now, and frankly, you should be. You know what I mean? And I think you should keep the same energy and going in. Sometimes we talk about the division of the nation. Sometimes it ain't that bad. You know what I mean? Separation and division are two different something. Separation can be done without division. And sometimes we need to separate yourself. Sometimes you got to separate yourself, right? Because whether you realize it or not, tokenism is not it doesn't mean it's not separated. People are separated in their beliefs and their practices. You know what I mean? Don't fall victim to tokenism because it is real, right? You look at law, and I'm like, yo, all the militia and the police and all them things that were out there during the BLM protests, where were they? Not dispatched to do anything, right? I know people are going to be having to answer for those things now, but does it matter at this point in time? Does it really matter? You know, when you listen to other heads of government from other countries, because an American phrase is third world country to refer to many people as third world country. I keep saying this over and over. I've never been to another nation, and I've traveled a lot and heard them refer to other nations as third world countries. That's an American thing, right? And of course, what we do seeps into the fiber of what many others do, but that's an American thing. But many other nations who our nation look down their nose at, because we do that, are looking at us like, wow, wow, wow. You see, the reason we can't do better, and I'm going to say we cannot do better, and every day we get worse, is because we're not honest. When people support wrong people, even in your families, when people support bad things, and even if they're not knowing, they're ignorant about it, when they do realize that they've been got, instead of saying, well, damn, I've been got, they just keep supporting because they refuse to admit the fact that they were wrong, right? So we are not honest, and we like to paint the narrative that we are better than the rest of the world, and we are not. We're so not. And this is very, very evident when people use phrases like, and you hear this from politicians a lot and leaders, America's better than that, right? This is but a blemish. It's a small few. When you hear phrases like those, this is not us. And finally, my favorite, anytime they start off anything by saying the American people, right? That's their way of elevating and highlighting and putting you above on the pedestal, the American people. You know what I mean? Oh, the American people will not stand for that. The American people wouldn't do this, blah, 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 blah. But the people who are doing the wrong out there are not the American people, right? Who are they? Who are they? You know, the American people. Like it was somebody else doing all the atrocities yesterday. And I'm going to say atrocities. And again, for some people, atrocities are only associated with black and brown people, right? We have our own folks sometimes brainwashed, disillusioned into seeing even what we do as one thing. And then when somebody else does the very same thing, we have a total different view of what it is, right? What happened yesterday is nothing short of domestic terrorism. It is. And had it been a minority group that was doing it, it would have been referred to as such, as domestic terrorism, right? So it always amazes me. It always amazes me when people are who they are, do what they do, show who they are. And then when it's received favorably or any form of negative way, then they say, that's not who I am. How many times do you hear that in court proceedings? Some are from racist people who are caught on camera committing acts of racism. What is the first thing out of their mouth? That's not who I am. That moment, what you saw on film is not who I am, right? Or in court, you're here for your third act of DUI. You actually killed somebody or whatever the case may be, or you had some road rage and get out and kill somebody. And guess what happened? You get up and look in front of the judge. That's not who I am. That moment does not represent who I am. It is. That's who you are. So the issue is the honesty. We need to face reality and just be honest. You know what I mean? Because the laws and stuff like that affect different people differently. That's just how it's set up. Somebody posted something on social media, which I thought was very funny, saying that a ham sandwich can be convicted of being delicious. A ham sandwich can be convicted for being too delicious, especially if it's Black Forest ham. Right? Funny, but think about it. Right? We talk about the damages. What damage was really done yesterday? Yesterday is pretty much just the result of the last 4 years. Right? And many people championed a lot of the rhetoric that was said. I know people personally who, no matter what negative, evil rhetoric is spewed by people who they support, they will always find a way to defend it. People say things and say what they mean, and the fans and the supporters try to say, no, I know he said that, but that's not what he mean. He said that's what the person said, right? And when you ask the person who said it, they're not defending what they said, but the supporters, the goons, the fools, the fanatics who support them. And I take back none of those sentiments, because that's what you are. Then you defend what the person said when the person who said it does not defend it. We have the Facebook creeps. You know what I mean? If you express yourself, they jump in your comments and they splash something. Well, it's not this, it's Antifa. Yeah, right. Right? Anytime something bad comes from your people, you can never accept who it is. It's Antifa. Not you. It's Antifa. And whomever else. But it ain't your people. Right? But yet still, when the close-up come up, it's your regular guy who's an attorney. Right? The week before that, he was just in the office practicing law. Right? He was at the church preaching the week before that. Right? But now he's in camera doing his thing. And you are telling me that, nah, man, it's Antifa. Jackassism is real. Jackassism is real, and y'all embrace a lot of that when it's time to defend your causes. And it's a damn shame. And it makes good people think bad things too, because I'm not going to lie. Like I hear, you watch the news and you see somebody died. And instead of you automatically saying, oh my gosh, my sympathies, my thoughts, my prayers. The first question is, was it one of the so-called protesters, rioters? And somebody said, yeah, it was one of them. And then my response now is, here's the ladies all come back in the dance hall, right? Right? Here's the ladies all, I read something, ladies all come back. Don't care, right? And that's not good. That's not good. But that's what divisiveness does. It puts you in a place sometimes, mental space, where you do what's normally not your natural reaction. You withdraw your empathy, your sympathy, even your thoughts and prayers, because it's almost like I can't express empathy, thoughts, and prayers to somebody who acts a certain way and does a certain thing on a daily basis. You're out there with a certain conviction, and something bad happens to you, and my empathy is supposed to be sent your way. I'm human and I can't do that. Can't do it at all. The other thing I'm seeing on the news, and I think it's really ridiculous and it's funny to me, are all these last-minute resignations from all these people who upheld the same thoughts, same principles, same policies for 4 years. But then 12 days prior to the show coming to a close, you want to resign because you've had enough. This ain't the worst of what's has happened. If we're perfectly honest with each other, what the things that have transpired over the last 4 years, this is not the worst. The thing about this is the portrayal, the sacrilege, what it shows. You know what I mean? What it depicts to the viewing eyes of the world in terms of the Capitol building. You know what I'm saying? That's what this depicts. But truth be told, all the mayhem, all the hurt, all the deaths, all the injustice to minorities that have happened over the last 4 years, this ain't the worst of it. It is not. So how come all of a sudden you've had enough? You're resigning 13, 12, 11 days prior to the crap show coming to an end. Because what happens pretty much is, after the next 11 days, you've got to go get another job. You've got to go do this. You've got to do that. And what you're trying to do is wash off the stain. You're trying to put a glove on over your hands to kind of cover up the stain of what you've been a part of. If you really felt how you felt You know that resigned long time? Because the truth of the matter is, if what happened yesterday happened a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where there was that much time left, you would not have resigned. None of these people who are resigning right now would have resigned had this happened 2 years ago. Nah, it's a good gig. That's my guy. That's my man. You know what I mean? So we good. What are we tripping about? It's a job. You know what I mean? I don't like them people anyway. Right? But all of a sudden now, 11 days prior to the show coming to an end, all of a sudden, you can't take no more and you resign. Hypocrisy. All right? Hypocrisy. We talk about the tyranny because that's nothing shy of tyranny from the people and from the leader. Right? And then the hypocrisy of the masses and the people who are now talking about I've had enough, it's time to resign. Right? What happened the last couple of years? How come you never resigned prior to that? Right? Clementine, what do you say? It's too late to resign. You're still a part of the problem. People want to be able to tomorrow say, when all hell breaks loose, and tomorrow history's being it's being written already. History's being read. They want to be able to say, oh, no. Remember, I had decided that was too much for me. And I didn't want nothing to do with it. So I resigned 4 days prior to the whole thing. Right? 4 days, 5, 6, whatever. You know what I mean? I'd had enough. I was there for 4 years. And up on the last 3 days, I just decided this is enough. I can't walk into my future with the stain all of this stuff on me. Are you crazy? But if there was another 4 years to go, or this was 2 years in, did I turn a blind eye? Right? Sometimes you talk about who you deem the devil. But sometimes your real concern needs to be about the person looking to replace the devil. Because the truth of the matter is that Pence brother there, all of a sudden he's another one just found a conscience. Right? He looked in a drawer in his office and there was some conscience in a bag and he take out the conscience. All of a sudden you have a conscience now. Right? All of a sudden you have conscience. All of a sudden it's just too much. Right? Why? Because you're a politician. This brother is not a politician. He's just a guy that showed up for the job and got it. Right? Showed up for the job, got the job. Hey, what up, Rosie? Right, our dieting, not you, Clementine. Large up my Maryland massive. Right? And I just want all y'all to be safe out there because I don't think everything is over. Right? But that's what goes on. So you were standing by the side, agreeing with everything, right or die, everything the person said, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, man, I'm good. All of a sudden, now 3-4 days before the crap show comes to an end, when you and your cohorts may have your own agenda for you run next time or something, but remember, you're a lifelong politician, so politics is how you eat. That's how you make your bread, right? So you're not trying to fall out of that thing right now. So all of a sudden, one bag in your drawer with some conscience in it, and you open it and find your conscience. Hypocrisy at its finest. Again, we look at the devil, but sometimes if we worry about the man looking to replace the devil, right? Trust me. All of a sudden, your conscience showed up. Don't know where it was, right? Last minute resignation. So we talk about the damage that was done yesterday. Damage. The damage was done over the last 4 years, right? That's just a signature of the damage, and it's not done yet, right? You know what the real damage is? You know what the real damage is? The real damage is people who have worked together for years now look at each other differently. The real damage is that people who have been neighbors for the last 20, 15, 10 years now look at each other differently. Yes, I've had my neighbor across the street that I've 10 years. Cool, nicest people. Until the true colors started showing. And it's not about having a difference of opinion. It's about, you can hear the violence, hear the hate, especially when President Obama was in office. You could hear it. And then when baby Hitler went in, then all of a sudden, yeah, right? And then people who never posted a thing on Facebook before, all of a sudden them have a Facebook page. I didn't even know you had one. Saying this, saying that, and whatever the case may be. So now when it's all said and done, do we walk out our driveways once more? When we bring out our trash and say, hey man, what's up? And sit down and have these long, lengthy conversations, right? When your birthday come up for your grandkid now and normally you say, hey, come over, whatever the case may be, do I still go over? Right? When I'm in the back of my house jerking my chicken or whatever the case may be, I play my music and beer or whatever the case may be, and I normally say, hey man, come over, get some jerk chicken, whatever the case may be, do I still do that? Because you have to be careful who you break bread with, you know. If you look at even the biblical sense of it, the most spiritual, the most intimate merger, happenings at all, was at the table breaking bread. So do you still break bread with those folks? Do you? It's a real question. All right, so those are the real damages. Your co-workers, all the people you look at differently right now. And guess what? Even your family members. Right? Right? Leroy Jenkins met Becky in West Palm Beach and fell in love. They had their thing going. Now, Becky's family wasn't necessarily the most embracing, but them daughter that and they don't want to lose the daughter, so they just roll with it. But the last 4 years, you saw the best of your in-laws. So now, after the 4 years are done, how does that affect how you view your family? Because they are your family. Thereafter. So we talk about damage and the physical damage to the Capitol building or whatever the case may be. Ain't shit. You know what I mean? That mess needed an overhaul anyway. What do we do? That's the real damage. Right? I was supposed to get the number for the suicide hotline too, because we're in a period of time right about now where some people are struggling big time with mental health and suicide. Saw a post and got a message from some former co-workers of mine. Somebody, nice person. I remember we worked together about 10 years ago. I got married, started a family, whatever the case may be, which means, there's a young kid and whatnot involved in this, but saw that the person had passed away, didn't know what it was. And then as the information started being revealed, it was then revealed that it was suicide. That's why I've mentioned suicide. We don't know what's going on. Is it the current climate that's putting people at these points of frustration that they can't hang on no more? We already have established the fact that as human beings, we're way more mentally fragile than we'd like to admit. Right? And this mental health thing is crazy serious. Something that we ignore oftentimes, especially in black communities, black and brown communities, because it's taboo. Especially if you come from a Caribbean household, especially if you come from Jamaica. You know what I mean? Mental health. No, sir. We see it as either mad or not mad. Not true. And mad for we means him gone. He might eat out of the garbage can. Bellevue vibes. Right? Right? That's how we look at it. But we saw, suicide. A couple years ago, did an episode and different people feel different ways about it. I had a viewpoint of suicide to me, and I always thought it was a selfish act. You know what I mean? Because it's your last, you're gone now, and especially you commit suicide, you leave a suicide note, whatever the case may be. This was my viewpoint back then, right? That it was a selfish act. And that was a way to have somebody forever live with some form of guilt or turmoil, right? Let's say you took your own life and you said, boy, it's no G Cole, you let me do it. Now that's forever with me. I don't have the opportunity to realize that, I've offended you, I've done you something, I've been doing something to you that have you in this place. But now you're gone and there's nothing I can do about it. But you've made it clear that I am the reason for it. So that's a forever on me. I always had that viewpoint of suicide, that it was a selfish act. But then as time evolved and I grew and I researched and I spoke and I opened my mind and stuff like that. You know, it makes you think, how much hurt must one be going through? How much mental torture must one be going through to go to that point? And even at that point, not return from it. Because remember, death is instantaneous. Dying is what can be a process. And up until the point that you pull that trigger or take those pills or jump or do whatever you do to end your life, you are dying, right? It's no different from laying in the bed dying and then the point comes and it's over, right? So how much torture, how much pain, how much hurt, how much mental anguish must one be going through to come all the way to that point and not even have the wherewithal and fortitude to turn back? So for that, I say, and I'm going to toss up the number for the suicide hotline in a minute. If you know anybody that's feeling that way, if you are feeling that way, remember, like I said, once you're gone, but you're leaving people to hurt and suffer for a lifetime, for however long they will choose to live or they're allowed to live. They are going to suffer with that for a hot minute, right? For a hot minute. So, and then on top of all of that too, you know, people commit suicide and you have young children and that's going to be a trauma on that young child. I don't know if having young kids, just kids in general, just people who love you in general is not enough to pull you back. It may not be. But when you do stuff like that and you do it in the house in which your children live, are they supposed to be able to live there still? And that's why in the past, I had viewed it as a selfish act because I was thinking that you know all the trauma, you know you're going to rip the tapestry, the fiber of this family apart right now. Right? And I'm not talking about just the wife, the kids. I'm talking about mom, dad. What did we do? What did we not do? You know what I mean? Mental health is a real issue, but not every ill circumstance that ends in fatality or otherwise is as a result of. We just live in a society right now where sometimes we like to diagnose, and it is easy as a society to diagnose something than to admit that we have issues going on. So right about now, our first default is mental health also. So that's the thing with the mental health situation is that while it does exist, it has become a scapegoat. No different from attorneys. If that, you know, going in court and certain things happen, that's one of the things they're going to do. Well, I mean, if I can plead mental health, plead insanity, we might be able to get off here. That transfers and translates into real life also. So, you know, people use words like they have their demons and struggle is real and whatnot. I see it, Mish. You're absolutely right. But am I wrong to have had it as a selfish act in my mind at some point in time? Am I? It's a serious it's really a question, right? Mish says, who wants to be 45 therapist? He's about to commit suicide for no, he's not. Let me tell you something. People like those live forever. You best believe. All right, Donald Trump, I could probably be 150 years old. People like those live forever. That's the torment, people. All right? Artie Davis. Well, go on, fam. They say, makes one wonder what all the kneeling is about. Nothing's changing, or the change is happening too slow. 400 years, brother. Man, I'd be lying if I told you I didn't think the same. Right? Rosie, we had that in our family 2 years ago. People, it's not fun. It's not fun. It's not fun. You know, it's one of them things where life in itself, you know, I value life so much. My life, my family's life. It's such a joy to come home to my family that I couldn't see myself. I have no fear of death. You know, I've lost my loved ones, my mom, my brother, whatever the case may be. So death to me, if that came tomorrow, and I know it's coming, I'd probably be a little excited, to be perfectly honest. Knowing that, oh shit, my brother, I'm a mother on this, I'm a grandmother, I'm gonna say them my way at top. Of course, I'm gonna be sad about what I'm leaving behind. But death, I'm not fearful of that. But I can't see, I can't imagine, can't fathom how I'd feel knowing that the folks that are crying are hurting for me. There's not a day go by. My brother passed away in 2017. And today is not easier than 2017 when it happened. So I can't imagine intentionally putting that on someone. But at the same time, I will never marginalize and minimize the hurt that people go through. And again, what mental illness is. So that's the reason why we can't ignore it. Right? Oh, you're talking about the lady Rosie who got shot. You know, it's like when somebody talk about, there's a comedian who referred to Martin Luther King and said, Martin Luther King was assassinated. Malcolm X was assassinated. Biggie and Pac got shot. You know what I mean? That was Chris Rock who said that. In a case like this, she got shot. Right? She got shot. At the end of the day, I've seen people killed, murdered, right? At the hands of the police, at the hands of racist folks. And people try to act as though that loss, that death, is less painful than, let's say, the lady who died at the Piddleton yesterday. Man, lady saw come back in the dance hall. That's what I'm saying to myself when you tell me that. Lady saw come back in the dance hall. Boy, lady saw, I'm a big fan. I want to talk to you. I want to hear what going on with lady saw because I'm an artist. That's my response to that. So again, it's all about love, and I implore you all, love the ones who love you. Be mindful of the ones who don't. Don't spend your time hating people. People think that the absence of love is hate, and it is not true. You cannot love somebody and not hate them. You know what I mean? But sometimes the people who love us and are there for us, we need to love them a little bit more. Love them through what's going on. And a lot of times then that in itself sometimes will minimize the suicide rate and stuff like that, because people are going through a lot. There are lots of people. Imagine you're in a household, you got a family. But if it is that bad that you feel like you have to take yourself away from that, and not just take yourself away from that, but rip up the firebomb, damage everybody after that, right? Because the kids there, our kid, however many there are, even at 50 years old, is still going to be suffering from that trauma. Your parent, who you love and worship and adore probably, who told you that they love and worship and adore you, and would be there for you through all things, thick and thin, who's put here to protect you, decided that I don't want the gig no more. I'm out. And not only do I not want the gig, I don't want to have the gig from across the room. I want to be out. I just want to, and I'm not saying that that's what the person thought, I'm saying that's how somebody can interpret it. A young child, right? A young child can interpret it that way. That's trauma that's going to be permanent. If you're going through something, talk to somebody, right? Find a therapist, somebody you can trust. Don't just, not necessarily everybody, because you have some people who you tell them, say you feel away there, them gonna tell you, what's one going here? You have to be careful who you talk to. But find the professionals, call the suicide hotline, whatever the case may be. And if you have concerns about somebody, find a loving way to speak to them and let them know that you're there. Even if you don't want to be premature and approach a situation that is not what it is, have conversations with them, talk to them more, check in with them more, call more. You know what I mean? Induce some fun in their situation. Let them know, say, you're not that bad enough. You know what I mean? But we get caught up in ourselves so much, in our lives and our daily ins and outs and our comings and our goings, that's all that matters. Us and how we do what we do. One thing I've learned from COVID and what's going on right now, because so many people have lost their jobs, a lot of financial issues going on right now, and a whole bunch of things. And one thing I've learned is that we overconsume. There's too many things. I spend a ton of money on nonsense, right? A lot, and a little bit, a ton of money on nonsense. I spend a ton of time doing nonsense. Thinking that I need this, thinking I need that, think I need to go there. I was missing for a couple of days. I took a vacation. That's a couple of days vacation. I needed it. Doing nothing. So went away, a nice spot, retreat on the ocean, doing nothing. Love it. Love it. You know, I remember the days when I felt like I had to have an itinerary. There are times when my wife and I would, every time the vacation time come on, I book this cruise, I book that one, I want this, I want that. Okay, so we're out here for 10 days. What's the itinerary? I'm doing this today, doing that tomorrow, doing this. It wasn't until I lost my mom and she saw I was going through a lot. She said, let's just go take a vacation to Negril and do nothing. I'm like, what? Because I grew up in Ocho Rios. My mom managed a hotel, so we were at the hotel a lot, and I'd see people fly from all across the world to come sit on our coconut tree and look up at the skies and drink and do nothing, and I thought it was weird. So all my vacations over the years, me, my daughter, we'd be, a poor kid probably did tired to even tell me, but we'd go on cruises, we'd hop on a plane, we'd go wherever the world, from Europe to the Caribbean, to wherever we are, but we had an itinerary each day. Let me tell you something. So my wife said, let's go. And we not, no, I'm like, what's the itinerary? Nothing. We chilling. So you're going to have me like those people that I saw come from across the globe to come sit on a coconut tree? Yup. And I sat under that tree on the cliffside just overlooking the ocean. 5 days, 6 days. Every now and then I might go do this, I might go do that. When I came back, felt refreshed and ready for the world. Unlike my previous ones where I'd come back from vacation feeling like I needed a vacation. And so now I'm at the point where sometimes I just want to, all I need is your energy. You know what I mean? We don't have to do nothing, you know. Just chill with a good friend or your loved ones or your children or your family, whatever, and just talk nonsense, read a book, just catch up, just, you know. Because if you have somebody in your life and you cannot just spend time with them doing nothing, there's an issue. Because a lot of times the things that you have and all the things that you stay busy doing is a distraction. It's something to keep you away from the truth, which is that there is no ties that bind here. We ain't got nothing in common. All right? So I'm saying all of that to say thank you all for your time, your effort, your energy. Be mindful of your surroundings, i.e. the people around you. All right? Mindful of the dragons in suits. All right? The people who are posed with the next black person and the next this and that and the token black person what them have and the rent a dread and all them little thing there. Be careful of them. Because again, a lot of that is just a disguise so they can blend in. It's not about being divisive. It's not about being divided. But truth is truth. All right? So if there's anything, I'm not going to lie, kind of appreciative of the fact that there's some revelations made over the last couple of years. You know what I mean? Is what it is. Brother got to go, though. You know, I want to thank y'all so much. Remember. I'm no revolutionary. So I ain't preaching none of that. I'm just saying. Stop focused on the Hitler-esque leader who's trying his endeavor best to be that. Think about all the other people. Think about the people you used to go to work with who you realize, well, damn. Right? Think about the family members, the in-laws, the neighbors. Well, damn. Not you. That's what you need to pay attention to. All right? I hope I'm praying for some better times ahead. Again, mental health is real. If you know people who are dealing with something, who are struggling, don't turn your back. Do what you got to do. Help out. There are many ways. You're not a professional, so you might not be able to offer professional help. But some phone calls and some invitations to come, you know what I mean? Hang out might help. And then I leave you with this. I know found out they're self-inflicting. Well, I don't know that some people out there fight over some woman when I want them and I fight over some man when I want to know. Leave it alone. Why we always come back to this? Leave it alone. You understand? I'm be a hot girl out the road. All right? Enough single man out the road. So guess what? Somebody out there. Right? And like a couple episodes ago, some man who know how crosses. So if you know say how crosses, leave the good people out the road. Here? Leave the people them good man, leave the people them good woman alone. All right? If you know your crosses, nothing better than you go find another crosses one and one to cross up on one another. All right? That's how we leave it today. Come off of the samba note. Some who know her crosses. But I am blessed. You're blessed. We're all blessed. We're going to stay blessed. I thank y'all so much for rocking out with us. It's dangling. So blessed. Big tune.
Working class music. Rubba-dubba-dubba-ba.
Why you calling me a hoe, Novelty? Why you calling me a hoe?
I like it.
Clementine.
One more game. And I just want to say, any day that I live to see, for me, it's a lovely day. I am feeling so blessed. I got no time for stress. Even though things ain't perfect, I'm not worrying my head. Through pain and disappointment, I give thanks nonetheless. I am feeling so blessed. So